Hello everyone, this is Linda Stuckey. I'm truly delighted that you're here. The rate of speech that we use in normal conversation affects our fluency rating. We're going to start today with the rate of speech. It's the first area of speech because it affects so many other areas. If you're a speaker with excellent command of the English language, you're more likely to speak too quickly, compared to the speaker who is still learning the language and speaks more slowly to find the right words and carefully has to consider pronunciation of sounds. If a speaker is too slow, speech sounds labored, broken up, and is difficult to listen to. On the other hand, when the rate of speech is too fast, the listener can't comprehend the content or understand the speaker. A slower rate of speech has its benefits. We'll be talking about all of those today. The objectives of this lesson are to learn what a good rate of speech is, to discover the benefits of speaking slower, to learn a rate that is good for you and your needs. And I'd like to also give you creative ways to slow down. Knowing the grammar is not the only way to know the language. There are other things to consider. You must consider intonation, your voice, pronunciation of vowels and consonants, and many other things as well. There is some variance to the acceptable rate of speech depending on the geographical area in which you live. In the United States, people living on the East Coast typically talk faster than people living on the South or in the Midwest. Your country may also have differences between the areas. Today, we really want to focus on using a rate of speech that complements your language abilities to give you intelligible speech. So what is a good rate of speech? Well, as I said already, it depends a little bit about where you live, but it also depends upon who you are and your skills. If you have good pronunciation, you may be able to speak at the faster end of the normal range, and that normal range is 140 to 160 words per minute. But slower speech will benefit you in a variety of ways, especially if you're mispronouncing vowels and consonants. It allows more time to lengthen your vowels and add stress and pitch changes. The rate you choose to adopt may depend upon the setting in which you'll be speaking. The more difficult the material and the audience you are speaking to gives a clue as to how fast your rate should be. A good way to monitor the rate of speech you will use is to mirror the rate of the speakers around you. Your rate of speech may need to change on any given day. You may want to also consider the perceptions you have of the speaker who speaks too slowly or the speaker who talks too quickly. The first step towards making changes in your rate of speech is to listen to others as they speak. Click on the provided link that's listed in your resources. Then go to this site to study characteristics of famous speakers. But besides the content of their message, pay attention to what appeals to you about the way they speak the message. The goal here is to become an attentive listener and critique different rates of speech. Then listen to the samples that are listed in your resources. The same speech sample is read at different rates. As you listen to these passages at the different rates, notice differences in terms of the amount of pausing, the length of pauses, and the intonation. Ask yourself if the paragraph read at 160 words is as vocally interesting as the paragraph that is read at 140 words per minute. Does one rate seem easier to understand? A slower rate of speech benefits the speaker in enormous ways. Pronunciation is easier, intonation and stress are appropriate, and pauses can be easily inserted. In addition, the quality of voice and the resonance improves. Speaking slowly helps one to add emphasis and stress in all the right places. If a speaker is speaking too fast, the conversation may sound hurried and may put the listener on edge. However, speaking too slowly will reduce your effectiveness too. Your listener may get impatient and not be able to follow you. So how fast do you talk? In this section, you'll be practicing speaking at different rates within a minute. By practicing the rate that is appropriate over and over again, you will learn to feel the rate and adjust to that right rate that's right for you, that's needed in conversation. You will need a stopwatch or a clock with a second hand on it, or ask a partner to time you to do this exercise. Read this paragraph quietly to become familiar with it. Then time yourself reading the paragraph to determine how fast you read. See where you end up in that passage after reading for 1 minute. Try to read this passage at the same rate that you speak in conversation. And be sure not to read the numbers in parentheses. This number represents the number of words up until that point. Let's start by pausing the recording to read the paragraph and become familiar with the wording. You may want to make your screen full view or print a copy of the rainbow passage. Go ahead and pause it now. Okay, now that you've done that, I'm going to start the clock and say go. You begin reading when I say go. Keep reading until I say stop. When I say stop, make a mark on your paper where you are in the reading. Remember to read this as close to your speaking rate as possible. Okay, now it's your turn. Get ready to read. On your marks, get set, go. Okay, stop. What I want you to do is mark with your pencil where you ended up with your reading. And it should be close to one of the numbers that are in parentheses. All you need to do is add or subtract from those numbers where you stopped in your reading. For example, if you read up until this point right here, considered, what I would do then is count from 154. I would add 3 words, and that would make it 155, 156, 157, and my rate of speech would be 157 words per minute. Okay, that's all you need to do. You either count forward or count back from one of these markers that are in parentheses to determine your rate of speech. So how did you do? Did you discover that your rate of speech was too fast or too slow? Let's begin by addressing a rate of speech that is too fast. What changes can you make to slow your rate down? Some very obvious solutions include pausing more often and for longer periods of time, especially at grammatical markers like commas and periods. Go through this passage again and make slash marks at all the commas and periods. Use 1 slash for commas and 2 slashes for periods to indicate a little longer of a pause. The more slash marks you have, the longer the pause. Read the paragraph and take breaths at these markers. And remember that pauses are often used by seasoned speakers to add effect and drama to their message. The second way that you can slow down is to lengthen the vowels in stressed syllables. Really hold the vowel of the stressed syllable, which is in all caps, of these words. Beautiful, horizon, reflection, paragraph, underline, syllable, remember, exaggerate, movements. Now go through the paragraph and find words that are at least 2 syllables long and lengthen them as you read. Underline or circle these syllables so you don't forget to lengthen the vowel in the words as you read them. Finally, exaggerate your mouth movements as you speak. Have you ever noticed how broadcasters on TV open their mouths when they speak? Open your mouth widely as you say the rainbow passage. If you watch yourself in the mirror, you should be able to see your teeth while you speak. It is difficult to talk fast while you exaggerate your mouth movements. Read the paragraph again, exaggerating your mouth movements as you read. Now it's your turn to practice the different rates of speech. These readings are provided for you in your homework. Read the following passages, trying to read them at 140 words per minute, 150 words per minute, and 160 words per minute. Practice again slowing down or speeding up as needed to speak at each of these rates. Make adjustments on at least one aspect of speech and concentrate on it until it feels natural to you. What speed feels most comfortable to you?